Welcome to the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent.
Steve, welcome back to Friday at 4. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, Chuck. How are you?
Yeah, really good, man. It's been a good week, very productive. The weather has
Yes.
been somewhat cooperative with us. What do you think?
Um, it's been okay. Today is nice, and the weekend is supposed to be really nice, so I'm getting
Yeah,
excited.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and get started. A nice little topic here that ties kind of on things that we've been progressing through the
Okay,
last,
good.
I guess, couple of weeks into the month
Okay.
here. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about the success that people don't see, right? The frustrating acts of showing up when there's no one there to help us, no applause,
Mhm.
no instant wins, just consistency. Um, yeah, what do you think about showing up when nobody's there to show up for us? What do you think?
So there's two sides to that, or two different scenarios, not two sides, but two different scenarios. One is, are you a solopreneur, a true solopreneur?
Well,
The other one is, are you a solopreneur, but part of a larger organization, which is what I am?
uh,
And the answer really is different because
yeah,
if you're a true solopreneur by yourself, it's up to you. And I don't mean I'm talking generic. It's up to
yeah.
you to motivate yourself every day.
Yeah,
And
what does it
it's
really take to keep going, right? When the results aren't there yet,
right.
the doubts creep in, right? Quitting feels easier because I quit almost every day I'm the week, you know.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it really is.
It
Yeah.
is. And when there's nobody there to help you, to coach you, to encourage you, to push you through, you could flounder and end up saying, I'm done with this nonsense, and you're out.
Yeah.
But when you have, like in my case, where even though I'm a solo, I'm part of a larger organization. So if I get into that mindset, I have the ability to pick up the phone, send an email, send a text going, help me. Okay. And somebody is there.
Yeah.
And you can, and I know, and again, you still got to get to know the people, but there is a certain small group that I built a great relationship with, more so than others. And I know that I can vent and they can vent to me. And there's somebody there to prop you up and to say, keep going, tell me what your issue is, talk it out. Um, and I've done that before. And every Friday morning, we have an hour specifically called mindset training. And it goes through exactly those things of how do you get yourself motivated? How do you keep going? How do you not give up? How do you don't let the silly little things become the big things and cause you
Yeah.
to or go off rail? So it
Yeah.
really depends on where you are. Now, there's no right answer. Everybody's different, but that's how it is. So when nobody's around, how do you, to rephrase what you said, how
Yeah.
do you keep going? How do you not give up? And sometimes it's not so easy.
Yeah. So I think one question I like before you answer that, you can answer
Mm,
two questions here, right? The question is, what keeps you showing up anyway? And I ask myself that
okay.
every day, not every morning, but probably every afternoon, every evening. I kind of answer that anyway with why do I keep doing what I'm doing? Because for the love of helping small businesses
Mm,
show the true side that I think a lot of people don't really see, right? Because if somebody's not there to tell the truth for businesses, everybody can get the wrong impression when you go to Google and look at reviews or Yelp or Facebook. and look at a company, and you can get the wrong impression of a company just by looking at the reviews, what people are saying, what they're doing, and even how the people are responding to those reviews, even for that company, because sometimes that frustration comes out, right? The whoever's responding, whoever their social media person is responding wrong way. So what keeps me going is I like the fact that I get to travel, have fun, eat food, um, just visit businesses that make it fun, challenging, and exciting, but also that I'm helping small businesses really outshine and really show the truth about what goes on in their world without them even thinking about they know about it, right? I said this phrase before, right? A lot of owners stick their head in the sand and think everything's okay. They don't want to know the truth. We've said that several times. And I really like to have, if that business owner doesn't come on and do my podcast interview and they happen to catch the episode that I do for their business, hopefully they can see it and go, wow, I really never looked at it that way. That's my business. That's my
Yeah.
food. That's my product. That's my service. Wow, I never looked at it that way. And really spark something in them to reach out to say, hey, thank you. I really liked what you did. Or just to have them think a different way that they didn't see their business in a certain way, right? Because of me, and what I'm doing, you know?
It's very easy when you have a business, and personally anyway, but certainly when you have a business, to think things are okay, to think what you want to think without getting into the real facts. And that's why what you do with the independent review, looking out at what's in the social media world, bringing it back to reality and digging in and finding out the facts, not what people are actually writing. Because again, they could be two different things.
Yeah.
And I know we've said this before because I've seen it happen here in New York to some, in this case, it happens to be food establishments. It could be those reviews are your competitors trying to knock you so they will steal your customers. But unless you get a Chuck to come in and dig deep and find out, are those reviews real or not? You may be thinking, I got to change my business. I got to do, but you don't. So that's why what you do is so important. And I know it motivates you, but it also helps the businesses get that independent, you know what? Maybe I am doing okay. Or maybe I do need to fix these one or two or three things to improve the business. But unless you have that independent, which is what you provide, I don't know. I truly don't know. So do I go left? Do I go right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, time, if you do the wrong thing, it could cost you money. It could cost you time. You could lose customers. So again, it's so important that the faster they find out and potentially take those corrective actions, it could be enough to put them over the edge. And that's not where anybody wants to be. So I'm glad you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah, especially now with food costs, right? Because you got these small restaurants that are struggling with the food costs. You
Right.
got to raise your prices to offset the food costs, and then people could go elsewhere because, well, I saw your reviews that you're charging $30 for your burger, but they're charging 25 for theirs. Well, maybe that's slightly different, but I'll go there. But then again, you look at the price difference versus the experience you have. It all ties together. There's so much to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why
Right.
my report I did, a Star Performance Index, is so important because it gives you that overall view
Mm-hmm.
of where you stand with your competitors.
Right.
It's so
Right.
important to know where you stand, especially nowadays in 2026, because,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, I first started with, call it mystery shopping and secret shopping. It was huge back in the day. It was really a big thing. And I'm sure it's still
Mm-hmm.
going on today. I
Oh,
semi
yeah.
do it myself
Mm-hmm.
still. That stuff is so important because if you don't know what's happening undercover, you're not getting
Mm-hmm.
that non-biased view of your business. You
Correct.
don't know what's going on.
No,
You think when you come in and walk in that front door and talk to your employees, and you think you know everything because you're there and you're talking to them, but you really don't. You really don't.
you don't. from a lot of perspectives. A lot of employees will not tell their employers what's really going on for fear of
Yeah.
losing their job, for fear of who knows what. But you're right. Unless that independent person comes in, you truly don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing, one word that I think could work for both of us, and not to take away your thunder from this episode for you as
No,
well,
go ahead. Keep going.
is is consistency, right? I've learned to stay consistent. I've been trying to stay consistent with social media. It
Uh-huh.
seems to be working over the past couple of weeks. I'm staying consistent. I found something that's working for me that's helping um, get a lot of views. And
Yes.
I think if I can keep this going, I'll get some exposure. And I think that's a key thing with, as the topic here today, right? Is how do you keep going? Well, staying consistent, right? If you stay consistent, why are you in business? Why are you doing what you're doing? Stay consistent with that why. That'll help you stay out of that stagnant, just like give up mentality, right? And say, I just can't do it no more.
Consistency is, to me, is key for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one is your customer. So when a customer walks through your front door or picks up the phone and orders or whatever they're doing, they're expecting a certain level of greeting. They want a hello, they want something. They want
Mhm.
to talk to somebody who's nice. They want to order and they expect that their order will be delivered the way they ordered it every time.
Right.
They're expecting it'll be on time. They're expecting the quality. They're expecting that's the consistency, doing the same thing over and over. Now, if the customer is expecting that, the only way they're going to get that is your employees have to be consistent in what they do. So, are they cooking it the same way? You do have to use the same food, the same quality food every time. Are the portions the same? So, your employees and your business feeds into the customer. So you have to be consistent in prepping and consistent in receiving on the customer side. It's got to be. And the way you're consistent is doing the same things over and over. It's this, you go to a gym, you do the same reps. Um, whatever the consistency is, and whatever you're doing, but it's doing the same things. You form habits, and then it hits up here. And once it's up here, it becomes routine. And habits are great because then you do them without thinking about it.
Yeah.
But just beware that the habits you build need to be good habits. Seriously, don't take that for
Very
granted.
smart. That's
You
right.
can build habits which are not exactly good, but you're consistent. You're consistently bad. Okay.
Consistently bad habits.
And it's not where you want to be. So
Right.
build the consistently good habits, and the end result will be good for the person, the business, the customer. That's consistency. And you're right. When nobody's there to watch you, are you doing the right things over and over and over?
And I know you also, we talk about this a lot too, finding a mentor. And I
Mhm.
still haven't, I consider you and, uh, you and Ken, my mentors, because you guys really helped me when I need to bounce something off somebody. I reach out to you guys and I like to think you guys are my mentors. You might not know my business the way I know it, but
Mhm.
when I talk about things, look at the other side of my business so I know how to change things when I need to. I think that's what's important is having somebody from the outside looking in can really help, because they don't know your business like you do.
Right.
And that's what can help, right? Because you know it so well, you might overlook something. And we've mentioned that before
Correct.
too,
Yep.
have somebody that
Yep.
doesn't really know your business, you
Correct.
know?
That's what I was going
Yeah.
to say exactly. And you said it
Yeah.
first. A mentor does not know your business so that they can ask you the what if scenarios. Because again, they don't know what you know. Therefore, they're not taking things for granted. They're not taking it was always done this way. So let's keep doing it this way. But does that mean it's being done the right way, the best way, the fastest way, the cheapest way? But the independent person can see that. They can ask you the questions. They
Yeah.
can then learn your business, but coming in, they don't know it. They can be
Mhm.
objective. You can't. Being as
Yeah.
when I don't mean you, I'm talking generic. You
Right.
can't be that objective because it's your business. You're
Yeah.
never going to tell yourself that you're wrong. You're never going to tell yourself you can do something better, faster, cheaper, because then it hurts my ego. I'm not going to
Yeah.
go against my own ego.
Yeah.
But you coming along saying to me, hey, Steve, what about this? What about that? Why this? Why that? And
Right.
unless I have a really good answer, I better change because I'm going down the wrong path.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the past couple of weeks, you and I have been bouncing ideas, and I even talked to Ken
Mm-hmm.
about this about, traveling, come up from my traveling series. We bounced ideas off of the what ifs, and
Mm-hmm.
it's stuck because one thing that I didn't take in consideration we talked about was where am I going to stay, where am I going to sleep, and I'm getting it worked out, you know.
Good.
And this week has been enlightening, you know, but I'm on the right path again, choosing the right things, not
Mhm.
choosing the bad habits, the good habits of knowing and listening to people tell you that, well, what if this and what if that? You got to do this, you got to do that. If you don't take a step back to say, let me really think this through again,
Mhm.
I can't just sleep in my car. It's not going to work. I'm not the kind of person I just sleep in a car. It's not going. My health doesn't allow me. What's the next step, right? What am
Mhm.
I going to do? So, I think having you guys to really help with that, listening and talking through things, really puts in perspective of the options that I could find,
Correct. Correct.
to get me to have some where to sleep safely, comfortably, and in a healthy way to push me through so I can go state to state and get it done. You know?
That's where the independent mentor comes in.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's the options. What if you did that? What if you did this? What if? Why do it this way? It's all those questions that only an independent person can ask. Because again, they're not in the thick of things like you are, or me, or whoever it is.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good
And like I
stuff.
said, I like the fact that it's someone, excuse me, it's someone who doesn't know your business who can really look at it from an outside perspective to say, well, he's not looking at it from this angle, but I am. And I go,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't even think about that. Those aha moments, right? They happen so much, especially
They
for me
do.
on a daily basis. I'm like, oh, well, and then I kind of wake up, oh, well, something that I can do different. And it's amazing, things
It
that can
is.
happen, right?
But again, it goes back to that same thing of you're in it. You're
Yeah.
doing it every day. And when you think about the same things every day, those are the habits you're forming.
Yeah.
But again, are those the right habits? Are those the best habits? Are those the best options? But when you're only
Yeah.
thinking, again, it's that solo versus the having a support team. If you're solo, you're thinking one way, and over, it becomes the right way to you, not to reality. That's
Yeah.
why the mentor comes in.
Yeah. So what keeps Steve showing up, even though those thoughts keep creeping in? What keeps Steve showing up? What keeps Steve going?
So I've told my story a number of times, and I'm going to make it much, much shorter this time. Um, so the short version is when I left corporate after over 30 years, I opened up my own business that I should not have been in for a whole bunch of reasons.
A whole bunch of reasons.
But because it failed miserably, and I realized, excuse me, after the fact that I was never taught the basics of financials. Never. So because of that, when I went into my business, it failed for financial reasons. But it went much further. Um, and it lasted for years because part of that failure in the business was bankruptcy. And it took me 7+ years to work my way out of it. But when I found a group of people in I guess it was 2020, um, They taught me what I didn't know. So what keeps me going every day is I still remember that group of people who helped me. And I then turn around and I help other people. They didn't charge me to teach me. I don't charge other people to teach them. I'm paying it forward. But what keeps me going every day is I don't want other people to make the same financial mistakes and have the same major challenges that I did. That's what keeps me going every day. Um, I, yes, I do have that support system, and every so often I do get that, all right, when does this end? And the answer is it doesn't. And that's okay. And that is okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm doing a presentation, happens to be next week for a group that I'm part of, and it's all around financial literacy. And I narrowed it down to a couple of topics. But in doing my research for the presentation, a couple of years ago, not that many years ago, I did a Google search and I asked what percentage of schools in this country teach any form of financial literacy? And the answer was 4%.
Wow.
4%. That means 96% of people are going to get out of high school and be completely unprepared financially to go into the real world.
Yeah.
I did the same search last night for my presentation, and it turned out there was 28 point something percent of high schools. So, yes, the number went up. So it's not 4% of all schools, but it's 28% of only high schools. But that means if 28% of high schools, 72% aren't teaching it. So now you got 72 out of every 100 kids that come out of high school have no clue about their financials. And they're going to
Yeah.
go into the real world, sign contracts because now they're 18 and they're adults. And then they get it behind the eight ball right away.
Yep.
That's the type of stuff that keeps me going every day. Because in the end, and I know I'm going to get a little gross here and I apologize, but in the end, when I graduate life, hopefully not too soon, okay, um, I want my legacy to be that I made a difference in this world. And I'm
Yeah.
not talking about getting rich. That's not part of that. My legacy is how many people, how many families did I help and make a difference to? That's
Yeah.
what's important to me. You love helping business owners. I love helping families and yes, some business owners also. But it's a
Yeah.
lot of business individuals and families to do the right thing and be able to dream again.
If you think about it, right? I didn't really think about this until just now it hit me. If you take just the 50 states, right? Just
Mhm.
take 50 states to keep it simple, right? Think about the hundreds to thousands of businesses in each state, the hundreds of schools and colleges in each state that we could potentially help.
Correct.
That's an astronomical number.
Absolutely.
And that is my goal is to hit every 50 states, all 50 states,
Hmm.
at least three or four businesses at a time
Hmm.
in those states and keep moving, you know? And again, like you said, right, without getting gross, leaving that legacy behind of I want to be able to let people know that when I am gone, people say that Chuck, he really had something awesome that helped my business, helped me see things different, you
Yeah.
know? And I'm sure on your side, same thing, right? Steve really educated my kids on financials that it helped my kid boost their life by 28% because they learned how to save and they built a life insurance policy and now they're good for 30 years. I'm just throwing stuff out,
Right.
as an
Right.
example, but you get what I'm saying, is
Hmm.
that
Yep.
it's amazing, right? How much is really out there,
There's plenty.
it's a lot.
Because if you think about it, 70% of people in this country are not taught basic financial concepts.
Yeah.
And therefore, they're making financial decisions for themselves and their families that are not in their best interest.
Yeah.
And because they don't know, how do you teach your children? So it just goes generation to generation to generation. So the goal is to break that cycle. Now, am I going to change the world? No, I'm not that naive. But if I can change 1,000 families, 5,000 families, 10,000 families, who then help others, it
Yeah.
just expands out and it spiders out. And that's what I want to do. I want to start somewhere. I just got approved. I don't know if I mentioned this to you or not. I just got approved, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I am now a New York City Department of Education approved vendor,
Wow.
which allows me, and I only did this for one reason. It allows me to now go into schools and present financial literacy because you have to be an approved DOE vendor. And now I
And
am.
that's a huge step, Steve.
It is
Congratulations,
huge.
man. I know
Yeah,
we
it is
talked
huge.
about it. I didn't know that you finally got approved. I know
Yeah, I got the
you said it was a
approval.
period that you had to wait. There was like a waiting
Yep,
period or
yep.
something.
And I finally got the approval. So now I can go
That's
in. So now
awesome.
I'm starting to reach out to schools because my goal now is now, I'm not sure when this episode is going to air and people are going to read it, but today is April 10th, 2026. My goal for anybody out there listening, I'm putting a plug out there, so a selfish plug, but I'm doing it anyway.
It would anyway, right?
If you are in the New York City area and you have a connection into any school, middle school, high school, college, please let me know. I would love to come in complimentary. No sales pitch, no products, pure education on basic concepts. Please let me know. I'd love to come in and do this to help people.
And Steve, you really got to pat yourself on the back because that's a huge accomplishment because getting anything through a Board of Education approval,
Mm. Mm,
that's huge. And
it
especially
is.
in New York, that's
Yes, it
huge
is.
because that means that you have some credentials that somebody saw that they
Hmm.
ran by the Board of Education to say, we got this
Yep,
guy, Steve Kemp. This is what he does. Do we
yep,
want him in our school system to show them financial literacy? And those
yep,
people anonymously voted yes,
yep.
you know?
So to answer your question of what keeps me going every day,
Yeah, buddy.
stuff like this, where I
Yeah,
can absolutely make a difference that it's not just a pipe dream, it's
yeah.
becoming reality. And
You
that's
know,
huge.
yeah, that's something I like about you. I want to make sure I give you another plug here too. That's what I like about you is, we've known each other for almost 2 years now, if not longer.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you have never ever pushed a life insurance policy. You have never ever pushed
Oh,
a sale. I've never heard you make a sale. Say you want to make a sale. You have always been about how I am. We're all about trying to make a difference
correct.
in businesses' lives, people's lives, kids' lives, schools, colleges, small businesses, restaurants, whatever the business is.
Mhm.
We always want to try to make a difference, whether we're getting paid or not, you know, and that's huge, man. So really pat
It
yourself
is.
on the
Yeah.
back, man. That's a huge accomplishment. I'm
Yeah.
proud of you for really making that happen.
Thanks.
And I can't wait to talk about that more in the episodes coming up,
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
your wins and your
Mhm.
small wins, your big wins, sometimes your losses, things that go wrong, things
Sure.
that go well. So
Mhm.
our audience can really understand that we're real with this and we're not just,
Yeah.
people throwing stuff out there. We really do know what we're doing.
Yeah.
But it's also sometimes we make mistakes with this and nothing is perfect, right? Yeah.
Nothing is
You know?
perfect. We
Yeah.
learn as we go. But as
Yeah.
long as and there's no guarantees, but we try that if you make a mistake, not to make the same mistake again.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
try. Am I perfect? No, I'm not. But I really try not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think yeah, to end this episode on a good positive note, I think, was it last Monday or the Monday before when I had some things happen? I woke up and it just turned, the day it was an awful day. I think
Mm,
weather and just things
mm,
were happening. And I was at that turning point again to say, just give
mm.
up. But the
Yeah.
universe said, oh, no, 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 we got better ideas for you, Chuck. And those
Okay.
are those moments, right, that I like to talk about that
Hmm.
whatever you believe in, whether you're religious or whether you're spiritual or whatever, we don't talk about that, but whatever you are and whatever gets you through the day,
Hmm.
you believe in something that's really helping you besides these, mentors and things like that, these people or whatever you believe in really helps you stay grounded because that's what happened to me. I got grounded again.
Hmm.
And once I took a step back, it hit me again to just, man, just get on that bicycle and keep pedaling further again forward and everybody falls off, right? Everybody falls off the wagon. Everybody falls out the car window. Everybody falls off the
Yeah,
bicycle.
you
I mean,
do.
it's a great
You do.
analogy. Right? Everybody falls off the bicycle, right?
You
But
do.
get back up one more time and keep pedaling, man. The key thing I want to say is you got this. If you
Yeah.
have a dream,
There's
keep it. Go.
there's a lot to be said for every single one of us,
Yeah.
everybody. It may not be apparent right away, but we all have some gift. Take a little time, research it, think about it, do something. It may not be right, do something else. But we're
Right.
all here for a reason. I'm not
Mhm.
religious either, but we're all here for a reason. And it took me, I'm 68, it took me 63 years before I found my true reason, which is what I'm doing now. Hey,
Yeah.
63 years is not overnight. So
Yeah.
the message for that is don't give up.
Yeah. Back in 1990, 1991, my dad died in 92. Back around 1990, 1991, because we used to work together, he had said something to me that stuck. He said, Chuck, you have a gift and one day you're going to find it. He never
Hmm.
told me what it was. He said, you got a gift. One day you're going to find it.
Hmm.
I never knew what that meant. I didn't understand, back then as a 20-year-old kid,
Hmm.
I didn't understand, what he meant by that. What does it mean I got a gift? I'm
Hmm.
just a
Yeah.
person, because I never looked at myself that way until here I am, you
Yeah.
know, 30 some years later. I hear that message he said to
Mm.
me all the time, and it sticks because I'm finding what I'm good at. I'm finding my gifts and
Yep.
my talents,
Yep. Yep.
and I'm
Yep.
loving all of my gifts and my talents that
Mhm.
I do,
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
was on the call. Actually, I was on a third call yesterday with somebody from one of my networking groups. And the first time he showed me, he's doing a presentation, really young guy, really smart. And he put together a presentation and it was very sales pitchy. And he said to me, can you take a look at it? And I said, okay, I'm going to give you the truth. And he revamped almost every page. Then we had the second meeting and I look at his presentation and it was a little bit better, but still salesy. We had the third call yesterday and he completely revamped to what I would suggest is education. Ask questions direct during the presentation. Ask questions. Hey, Chuck, what do you think about? What's your major concern with? And then because your slides are not full of text, they're bullets. The bullets are the same, but based on what the person answers or how the person answers the question, adjust the bullets to the person that you're talking to. And he ran me through and I played, the business owner. And he did a phenomenal job because he found his true calling the right way.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And he did a
Yeah.
phenomenal job. And I commended him several times. And you could see like he just like lit up. He was so excited that somebody believed in him and
Yeah.
helped him. And it's a great feeling. Did I get paid for that? No. Did I want to get paid for that? No. I did it because he's a good guy and he deserved and asked for the help. And not only did he ask for it, he adapted to the help. He didn't say, no, it's my way or no way. He adapted and he learned and he's better for it. And that's why I helped him.
Nice. 516-727-2294. Steve, your head is full of knowledge. I love it. Can't wait to get more of it.
Thanks. And then we have Chuck here. Don't cut yourself short, Chuck. It's 410-935-6132. The man is out there helping businesses all day long. Give him a call. He'll help you too. He's got a lot of great ideas. He's independent, so he's not, going to be slanted one way or the other. Give him a call. Find out what's really going on with your business.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. What a great episode, Steve. I love it. What a great topic.
It definitely was.
Yeah, definitely was. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Let's keep it going, man. Let's not stop,
No, not at
So,
all.
Yeah, another great episode on this Friday at 4 because
It's 4:00 somewhere.
Steve, enjoy the rest of the day. Have a
You too.
great evening, great weekend, and we will talk soon, buddy.
You got it. Thanks, Chuck. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Take care, Steve. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
You got
Next Friday at 4.
You got Take care. Bye.
See you, man. Bye.
You've been watching the Friday at 4 podcast series with your host Charles Luttrell and co-host Steve Kent. Thanks for watching.